Hello everyone! Welcome to our podcast. We are from Group 3 and today we will discuss about the Monalisa painting and the Renaissance. Before we start, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Viola Tarisa Bilqis. My student number is 123251120.
My name is Greta, Angie. My student number is 123251067.
And I'm Reva Rosalinda, and my student number is 123251108. Okay, so I'm gonna kick things off by talking about the man behind the Mona Lisa, which is obviously Leonardo da Vinci, and I feel like a lot of people know the name but don't really know why he's such a big deal. So do you know guys that Leonardo da Vinci is the definition of Renaissance man because he wasn't just a painter, he was a scientist, an engineer, an architect, and basically someone who could do almost everything. And what makes him really special is how all of that knowledge connects indirectly in his art. Like in the Mona Lisa, it looks and feels so real.
Okay, so when he was painting, he was basically thinking like a scientist.
Yeah, exactly. Because Leonardo da Vinci really studied how light works. Like he even dissect human bodies to understand anatomy, and he observed nature in a very detailed way. And you can actually all of his in this work, like in the Mona Lisa, he wasn't just painting what he thought a face looked like, but he was painting based on what he truly understood the face to be.
Okay, but I've heard this term sfumato thrown around a lot when people talk about the Mona Lisa. What even is that?
So, sfumato is one of his the best techniques. Like, it means smoky in Italian. He blends everything so softly, so it looks so, smooth and natural.
Why does this matter?
Because in real life, we don't see sharp line between light and shadow. Everything is soft. That's why the Mona Lisa feels and looks so real. And that's also why the Mona Lisa, her smile feels so mysterious. Because it's slightly blurred, so we can fully read it.
Notice the background of the Mona Lisa. Leonardo used a trick called aerial perspective. Have you ever noticed how mountains far away look blurry and light blue?
Yes, I see that all the time.
That happens because you are looking through miles of air and dust. Leonardo was a genius. He painted that hazy effect to make the background look like it goes on forever. Plus, it's not a real place. It's an imaginary wild landscape.
Why choose a wild place instead of a pretty garden or a normal town?
For contrast, he put a calm, civilized person in front of wild nature to make the painting feel mysterious and epic.
It's amazing how much science he hid in there. But why is this the most famous painting in the world? Is it just because it's painted well?
I'm curious too, like there are so many beautiful paintings from that time, like why is this one of the superstar?
That was the history got crazy. For a long time, it was just a normal masterpiece. It became a global icon because of the theft in 1911. A man actually hid the painting under his coat and walked right out of the museum with it.
No way. Did they catch him right away?
No, it was a huge scandal. For 2 years, it was in newspaper all over the world. It was like a viral news story before the internet exists. People even visit the museum just to stare at the empty spot on the wall where it used to hang. By the time it was found, the whole world knew her face. It became the most painting in the world.
Okay, so my first topic is the historical context of the Mona Lisa. Basically, what was happening when this painting was made and why it matters. The Mona Lisa was likely commissioned by Francesco del Giocondo, a wealthy merchant from Florence. Many people believed he ordered it to celebrate the birth of his son or the purchase of a new house. The painting was meant to portray his wife Lisa Gherardini. That is why it is also called La Giocondo.
And Leonardo never even delivered it, which is kind of surprising.
Exactly, but the bigger historical meaning is who commissioned it. During the Renaissance, art was no longer funded only by the church. Wealthy merchants and private families also began commissioning artworks. This shows the rise of individualism and personal achievement. Art became more personal.
So even the commissioner already reflect a cultural shift.
Yes, the background also has meaning. The rivers, mountains, and misty landscapes are often seen as a connection between human and nature. Lisa sits between both worlds, showing harmony between people and nature.
Which is very Renaissance, humans as part of nature.
Exactly. Her calm expression and mysterious smile are also linked to curiosity and the search for knowledge, values that were central in the Renaissance.
So now let's talk about the Renaissance itself because you can't really understand the Mona Lisa without it. So the Renaissance happened around the 14th centuries to 17th centuries in Europe. And the word means rebirth because people started to bringing back the ideas from ancient Greece and Rome.
Free bread from what? Cause like what was happening before it.
So before the Renaissance, there was the medieval period, like where most art and culture were controlled by the court, and art was more symbolic and spiritual, not focused on realism.
So it was more than just an art movement. It was like a whole shift in how people thought about the world.
Exactly. It was a full cultural revolution driven by humanism, the idea that human life and experience really matter.
And that show up in the art how?
So in a big way, Renaissance art is defined by a few key arts. First, a return to classical Greek and Roman art as the standard of beauty and proportion. Second, as humanism. And third, the development of linear perspective, which completely changed how space and depth were shown in art.
Can you explain perspective quickly? Because I know what it is visually, but I'm not sure how to describe it.
Yeah, so before the Renaissance, paintings looked pretty flat, like almost a tapestry, with everything on the same level. So then artists developed a geometric system using a single finishing point to create the illusion of depth on a flat surface. So what about the other giants like Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael? How were they different?
Think of them as a big tree. Leonardo was the science artist. Michelangelo was the master of the power. He loved showing off about muscle and intense emotion, like in his statue of David.
So Michelangelo is the one who painted that super muscular Sistine Chapel ceiling?
Exactly. His figures look like they are about to jump off the wall. If Michelangelo is drama, then Raphael is balance. He is famous for making things look graceful and perfectly organized, like his painting in the School of Athens.
That's the one with all the ancient Greek thinkers, right?
Yeah, it's perfect example of linear perspective, making a flat painting look like a 3D deep room.
Even though they were so different, they all shared the Renaissance spirit, right?
For sure, they're just making up pretty pictures. They were using art to study science, human nature, and the world around them. No wonder we still study them until 500 years later.
Now, innovations. The Renaissance introduced major changes in art. First is perspective. Before this period, paintings often looked flat. Renaissance artists developed linear perspective, using mathematics to create depth and realistic space. It made paintings look more lifelike.
And you can see that in the Mona Lisa background too.
Yes, especially atmospheric perspective, where distant objects look hazy. Leonardo used that very well. Second is humanism. This idea focused on human potential, emotions, and experience. Artists began painting real people and real feelings, not only religious subjects.
Oh, that's why the Mona Lisa feels so psychological.
Exactly, it focuses deeply on one person's expressions and personality. And the third is the scientific approach. Artists studied anatomy, geometric, and light to make art more accurate. Leonardo combined science and art in a revolutionary way.
And that mindset influenced science later too.
Yes, the same curiosity of the Renaissance later supported thinkers like Galileo and Newton.
So, the Mona Lisa and the Renaissance had a huge impact on art after that. The painting influenced many art movements like Baroque and Romanticism.
But Baroque looks very different, right?
Yeah, but the basic ideas are connected. Artists like Caravaggio use light and shadow in a stronger, more dramatic way, but the idea came from the Renaissance.
What about Romanticism?
Romantic artists were interested in emotion and mystery, which you can see in the Mona Lisa too, especially in her expression looks very mysterious.
So it influenced all of Europe.
Yes, the Renaissance spread from Italy to many countries like France, Spain, and England.
Does it still matter today?
Sure, modern art still use ideas like realism, perspective, and human emotion even when artists try to break those rules. Okay, so the Mona Lisa doesn't just come from the Renaissance, it actually represented first humanism. The painting focused on a real person and not a religious figure. That was a big change at the time.
And the science part is the technique.
Exactly, Leonardo combined art and science to make it look realistic and alive. Even the background shows interest in nature, which was important during the Renaissance.
So there's a connection between human and nature?
Yes, exactly. And her expression, especially the mysterious smile, shows curiosity and deeper thinking. It's like you almost understand it, but not completely.
So what is the bigger change in history?
The Mona Lisa shows the shift from medieval to modern thinking. Before, art was mostly about religion. Now it's about humans, knowledge, and observation.
So it's like Renaissance in one painting?
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's still so famous today.
So if it's the Renaissance in one painting, did that influence just stop when the era just ended?
Not at all. It actually became the blueprint for the next 100 years. As you notice, the Mona Lisa was the benchmark for excellence. It didn't just stay in the past, it moved right into the Baroque period. Those artists were obsessed with Leonardo's smoky painting style, called sfumato. They took his idea of soft shadows and made them even darker and more dramatic to create a wow factor. Basically, Leonardo's innovation gave them the tools to play with light in the whole way.
That's interesting. So it's more about the technique than just the one person in the frame?
Yes, but Yes, but it's the themes too. Kok themes?
Yeah, themes.
Benar.
Themes.
Yes, but it's the themes too. By the time you get the
Romanticism.
Exactly, salah. Yes, it's about the themes too. By the time you get to
Romanticism. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yes, but it's the themes too. By the time you got to Romanticism, artists were looking at the feeling of the painting. So they were inspired by that mysterious vibe and the lasting impact it had on people.
So she's essentially the foundation of everything that came after.
Precisely, whether artists want to be a realistic or moody, they all look back at this one painting to see how it is done. It set the bar to height that every movement after it had to keep innovating just to keep up. That's why there are so many different eras. It's the original spark that keep art history moving forward for centuries.
I guess that's why we still call it the greatest masterpiece.
Lastly, the Mona Lisa represents a huge cultural shift. It symbolizes the movement from medieval ideas to modern thinking. The medi- Lastly, the Mona Lisa represents a huge cultural shift. It symbolizes the medieval ideas to modern thinking. The medieval world focused mainly on religion and the church. The Renaissance focused more on the individual, nature, reason, and human potential. The Mona Lisa reflects all of that.
So the painting proves that society was changing.
Yes, it shows realism, human emotions, scientific thinking, and individuality. Before the Renaissance, art mostly served religion. After it, art also explored human life and understanding.
So it's not about the masterpiece but also a historical symbol.
Yes, it represents values that still matter today, like curiosity, knowledge, and appreciation of the individual. That is why the Mona Lisa remains important even now. Okay, guys, that's all from us. Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.
End of flashback.